So you're a library champion, and you've taken some time to understand your community. The next step is the most fun. It's time to talk about the library. The key is to talk about it so people will actually remember and repeat your stories. Information that doesn't stick is just a friendly conversation that ends when you part ways. The good news, you're here because you're passionate about your library, which will translate into being a great storyteller. Libraries are excellent at explaining what they do. Circulation numbers, program counts, collections, and services. You've probably already seen very impressive charts and graphs explaining how much your library does for the community. The problem is, most people don't remember any of that. They may be impressed that you ran 100 more programs this year. They may even pat you on the back, but they likely won't repeat it. What they will remember, and hopefully repeat, is what that program meant to its participants. That's really the test. Not whether it was accurate or detailed, but whether it was clear and meaningful enough that it sticks. What does that actually look like in practice? You could say, the library offers free internet access, and that's true, but it's also something people hear all the time and don't really think about. Or you could say, the library has patrons that use the free internet access and tech helper to apply for jobs because they don't have internet at home. Suddenly it feels different, because now there's a person in the story and a reason it matters. One of those is information. The other is a story about how the library service affected someone's life. That's really the shift you're making. You're not adding more detail, you're changing the meaning, and when the meaning matters to real people's lives, people remember it, and more importantly, they repeat it. When you think about the kinds of stories that actually stick with people, you'll notice they tend to have a few things in common. They're specific enough that you can picture what's happening, not just a general idea. They involve real people, or at least feel like they could. And they connect the library to something the listener already cares about. That's why statistics on their own don't usually do the job, even when they're impressive. They tell people something happened, but they don't help them see themselves in it or understand why it matters. Stories do that differently. They give people something to hold on to, and they make it much easier for someone to turn around later and share what they heard with someone else. What you want instead are a few stories that stick with you, the kind you naturally come back to because they meant something to you when you heard them. Maybe it's a story about a child who discovered something new and started to see themselves differently. Maybe it's an adult who came in with a problem and actually found a solution because of something the library offered. Maybe it's a senior who found a sense of connection or community in a space that felt welcoming. Or maybe it's a story about how the library affected you personally or changed your life for the better. The specifics will be different in every community, but the idea is the same. At this point, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not in the library every day, so where do these stories actually come from? That's a fair question. As a board member, you're not always the one seeing these moments happen in real time. The good news is, you don't have to be. There are a few really simple ways to start collecting these stories so you always have something real to share. The first is to talk to the staff. Take the time to get to know the people who are working on the front lines, because they're seeing these moments every single day. Ask them what stood out this week, what went well, or if anything surprised them. You'll be amazed at what comes out of those conversations. The second is to actually spend time in the library. It sounds obvious, but it's easy to skip. Go to a program, sit in the space for a while, come in at a different time of day than you normally would. When you're present, even just observing, you start to see how people are using the library and what it means to them in a much more real way. The third is to talk to patrons. This can be as simple as asking someone what they like about the library or how they use it. People are often more than willing to share. Finally, keep advocacy part of your regular conversations as a board. Make space for it in your meetings. Share the stories you've heard or used that month. The more you talk about it, the more natural it becomes, and the more those stories start to build over time. It's that simple. You're now ready to become a storyteller. How will you share stories about your library tomorrow?